All right, so everyone's talking about this missing submarine. Let's talk a little bit about the physiology of what might be happening to the bodies of the people inside that sub. So these people are essentially stuck in a metal cylinder in the middle of the ocean, and we're hearing a lot of concerns around whether they might run out of oxygen, which is a concern, but we're not hearing a lot about carbon dioxide. Now, anytime you breathe in, you're going to breathe in the oxygen, and your body's cells are going to use that oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. So another major concern is the buildup of carbon dioxide inside that submarine. As those carbon dioxide levels build up, people will start to feel headaches, they will start to feel dizzy, lightheaded, eventually their judgment will be impaired, and then you get into what's called CO2 narcosis, or basically the carbon dioxide has a narcotic effect where it makes people sleepy and it reduces their respiration. And when it hits that point, it becomes a vicious cycle where people breathe less and less, their carbon dioxide increases further and further, and eventually they can slip into a coma, and that can be fatal. Now, the way this is controlled is through what's called a scrubber, which is the same technology we have on the space shuttle, the same technology we use in our anesthesia machines in the operating room, where we have chemicals that when the air full of carbon dioxide passes over those chemicals, they're able to react with and absorb that carbon dioxide. What we don't know is how effective and how large and what capacity the scrubbers on the Titan actually have. So how long will they last? And do they rely on a fan to actually push the air over those chemicals? In which case, if there's an electrical outage, perhaps those scrubbers are not working as effectively as they should, and perhaps we should be worrying about a carbon dioxide buildup within that submarine. So the other concern is obviously their oxygen supply. They have a fixed amount of oxygen available to them, and we're hearing about a 72 to 96 hour window around how long that'll last. And the reason that varies is that it's a function of how fast they consume it. So anytime your body is moving around and your cells are more active, you are going to be using more oxygen. If you're exercising, you may be using 5 to 6 times more oxygen than when you're just at rest. And so the key will be for them to be as still as possible and to use as little oxygen as possible. And that is going to be very challenging because it's a very cramped environment. It's very anxiety provoking. And there may be other factors, like depending on how deep they are, it might actually be very cold in that sub. And if, for example, they're shivering, that's a form of exercise. And just that muscle movement will use up probably around 3 times as much oxygen as if they were just resting. And if they are running out of oxygen in that very cramped environment, eventually they're going to start feeling it. They're going to feel short of breath. They're going to start feeling headaches. They're going to have impaired judgment. And ultimately, that'll lead to a coma. And as the brain sees less and less oxygen, there's a chance of seizures, and ultimately that can lead to brain death. The good news is that they have very experienced people down there who are probably instructing everyone to remain calm and minimize how much oxygen they use.